And perfect. So, hey everyone, my name is D'Angelo Murillo from The Geek Life, and I am doing this mandatory fun time Saturday night interview with some wonderful people. Tonight, they are very, very special, amazing, incredible human beings because they are the ones who actually gave birth to me. They are my parents for this Valentine's Day special. So, if you don't know my parents, oh, actually, I'll let them introduce themselves. So, can you guys speak for a moment?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kathy, D'Angelo's mom. And I also, my business that I have is called Crafty Chica. And I just have always been into being a working creative in writing and artwork and crafts and teaching and sharing through my blog and social media. And I got my start when I met him, Patrick, when we were 21 years old, working at the City of Phoenix traffic court. And he quit to become a musician, and I followed after him.
Yep.
And then Padre, could you introduce yourself?
My name is Patrick, fantastic artist, or Ross Patrick when in the reggae world. You know, I do art, mostly Day of the Dead art, Chicano pop art, and then I do reggae music, and just a general creative, and troubleshooter. Like, whenever like she would always have me draw stuff for her, and then I made her learn how to draw so that
Yeah.
she can. Now she's a designer. You know what I mean? So it's like inspiring is what we do. We
Yeah.
inspire people. And if you walk away from us, you're gonna be inspired to do something. You're not gonna know what to do, but you know that you're gonna inspire to do something. That's what we do the best.
Yeah. So it is like a surreal moment for me because I've interviewed a lot of people, but like getting to interview my parents has been is a wonderful experience because you guys are the ones that like raised me and Maya and like have taught us, right from wrong, how to pursue our dreams with reckless abandon and all that kind of stuff. Well, I guess not reckless abandon, having a clear head on our shoulders and not being afraid to like chase our dreams and everything. So it's I've heard a lot of stories, but I'm really really excited to actually be able to talk to you guys because you guys have accomplished something that a lot of people haven't, which is to be hyper creatives in your own right and come together and then make a beautiful family and still thrive in your own ways while raising kids and getting through everything. So like, oh, it's so good. So I'll ask you guys this. What is your actual origin story? Now you've mentioned a little bit of your how you guys got together, but as artists and creatives, like how was it that you decided to pick up like a pencil to draw or to pick up an instrument or anything like that?
When I was little, I lived with my grandmother and grandfather and my mom, and I was always like looking through the house for stuff, and I found a trumpet in there, and then I was like mesmerized by it. I didn't know how to play it, but I was mesmerized
How
by
did you
it
find a trumpet? It
because
just like
I was nosy and I was looking through my grandma's stuff.
it's
And
like a
and
trumpet.
then for the art during the same period of time, I like to draw, and so there was no paper in that house like we have paper today.
Yeah.
It was I was having to use cardboard boxes or brown paper bag from the groceries, and I would draw on that. And then finally, my grandmother, I found out that she had some stationery,
Yeah.
the pretty roses on the corner to write letters and
Yeah.
stuff. And then she wouldn't give me that. So one day I drew her on a brown paper bag something religious like the Virgin Mary or something like that. And then she goes, "Oh my God!" And so she started giving me paper.
Yeah. Nice.
and so,
Gotta
and
work
so
those angles.
ever
Yeah.
since then, I was doing flyers for people's parties in high
Yeah.
school and all that kind of stuff. I was always drawing constantly, and I never painted really. And then until later in my life,
Yeah.
and then I was mainly a drawer, and then I would like kind of put things together, like, like,
Yeah.
You know what was neat was when we were at the traffic court, I liked to do lettering and
Yeah.
signs. So they started doing this weekly newsletter for the employees of the courtroom, and they asked me to do some lettering. And so I go, sure. So I did the lettering. And when the issue came out, they had Patrick do or Daddy do the illustrations.
Yeah.
and it was my lettering in his
So
drawings, and I
already
was
coming
like,
together back then.
yeah, I was like, oh, I kind of like
Aw,
that.
that's
And
amazing.
mine, I've just always been very
Yeah.
creative, left-handed, middle child, Sagittarian, trifecta of creativity.
Yeah.
And I just grew up like always wanting to use bright colors,
Yeah.
to use all the markers that I could find, every anything I could do just to make things colorful and
Yeah.
fun. And I loved writing stories.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was going to ask. As a creative writer, how
yeah,
did you get into that? Yeah.
I just always, ever since, grade school, I was into writing
Yeah.
short fiction, and I always knew I wanted to write books like Judy Blume
Yeah.
or Beverly Cleary, all of those types of writers. And but I was also creative. But all through grade school, I took art and craft classes
Yeah.
and high school, and I never got good grades. I
Yeah.
never got showcased in those classes. So
Little did
it
they know.
created this narrative in my confidence and my
Mhm.
self-esteem that I wasn't good at it,
Yeah.
and that I should never show it out. I should just keep it within my own workspace. So when we were friends, Daddy would come over and we would sit down and we would make stuff and
Yeah.
draw and doodle with paint pens. We got like wood boxes, and do you remember that? We would like draw on them with the paint pens, um and he just got me to like get in the zone of creating, and I started gifting the items that I made,
Yeah.
and eventually I took them into stores to sell, and they sold really well. And I'm like, wow, you know what, I reached a point where I thought, I don't need to listen to what happened in grade school or high
Yeah.
school with what teachers thought of me. And when I really broke it down, the reason that I didn't get good grades is because I wouldn't use the patterns that they gave us to
Yeah.
use. I would draw
Exactly.
my own patterns. And so that took my grades down.
Yeah.
But I was creative and I wanted to do what I wanted
Exactly.
to
How do you
do.
grade art? It's subjective and like,
Yeah, and
yeah.
now, and then even after time passed, I realized that my teachers, they weren't even art teachers
Yeah.
or craft teachers. They were math teachers, social studies, who got strong armed into teaching these extra classes.
Oh, so it
They
wasn't even
didn't
a,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. And here I carried it with me my whole life
Yeah.
of how they
Exactly.
graded
Yeah.
me. So it was just letting go of that narrative.
Yeah.
And I just always would create stuff. And then when we got married on our wedding night, we were just so excited, like, wow, we're starting our life together. Let's like set our goals. And we did not realize it then, but we were manifesting
Yeah.
before it was even a thing well known. And we were like, let's lead a life of art, music, and writing. And here it is 30 years later, and we are still doing
But a
it.
lot of it was necessity, because when I would play my gigs, at the shows, she
Yeah.
was our manager of the band, and she'd be sitting out there, watching the band and then dancing sometimes, and I'd be like, and then so I go, why don't you
Because
make?
we were just
I go,
friends.
why don't you make
Yeah.
some necklaces and some bracelets and
He would
sell
get
them?
jealous that I was dancing at his gig. So he's like, why don't you sell your jewelry during the show?
So she started making more money than the band was making.
For the
And
gigs.
my
Yeah.
10% commission of the gigs that
For
I booked.
actually, yeah.
Yeah,
Dang.
so I realized that was a feasible way of making money,
Yeah.
and all we did was switched from reggae items to our culture, to more
Yeah.
Mexican folk art.
Yeah.
And once we did that, then we started to sell to the stores.
We
Big
launched
time.
a website, and we've always
Yeah.
been early adapters of technology and new platforms to reach people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, my entire childhood is filled of working art events. Like every other weekend was either helping out with a gig or going to like a different thing to like help out with filling out sheets for how much, stuff was and bagging them and all that kind of stuff. So it was like, that was just routine for me. And it was just like everyday life. But growing up, I appreciate how like tenacious you guys were, dedicated to the craft and everything, and how like hard you worked for everything you got. But my question is, what was the moment that you were like, you know what, we could thrive if we continue doing this, like we could absolutely, become successful if we like pursue this, because a lot of people will see how much effort it takes, and then they struggle with justifying, going out and doing this. But what was that moment for you guys that you knew that this was just more than just a hobby?
I don't think it was a specific moment for me.
Yeah.
I think it was just a way of life, no
Yeah.
compromise. Like there could never not be a way.
Yeah.
It just that's the way it
Like
had
either
to
you go to
be.
a 9 to 5 or you do this
What
kind
you
of
actually want
hustle.
to
You
do.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, and and so once in a while we'd get this crazy like order, like 10,000 of a certain thing, and then we started to realize that we're not machines,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
that's a manufacturing kind of deal, and
Yeah.
so it was way early in our thingy.
It
So
was Santa Fe Perfume ordered 10,000 of his hand painted lizard flower pots.
Oh God.
And
well,
uh,
oh hell no.
they're going to give us a year to complete them.
Yeah.
And I think we didn't know what we were doing. We were going to charge $10 each for hand painted. Like now I'm like, oh my God. But that's when we're like, no, 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 no. But the good thing is that remember
That would have been
art, music,
27
and
flower
writing.
pots a day for 10,000
Yeah,
in a
it was a
year.
lot.
Wow.
So we had to, that's when I went to work at the newspaper
Yeah.
because we just had enough. We had 300 accounts all around the country of our
Bloomingdale's.
work. Bloomingdale's, button covers for Urban Outfitters,
Yeah.
Save Children catalog. And we just got so incredibly burnt out. We had we knew how we didn't have business strategy.
Yeah.
So that's why
You had the
I
passion,
went
but
to
not
work at
the,
the
yeah.
paper. Yeah.
Yeah, around that time you were little, and that's when you came out on the cover of Phoenix magazine.
Yeah.
Remember all three
Yeah,
of
the
us?
issue.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. It
right.
was
Yeah.
like a story about us.
And because we were doing consignment at this one store,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so but we tried every angle, and then as soon as we started getting burnt out and we switched up to something else, and we started to cut out the things that we didn't really love
Yeah.
Mhm.
and start going more towards that. And when she started to write her books and all that kind of stuff, it became like another level. You know what I mean? And then when she started to work for Duncan,
Yeah.
she got her own, line of
It was Dunkin'
products.
Ceramics, yeah, and
Yeah.
crafts, not Dunkin' Donuts. People
Yeah.
always go Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wish.
That's funny. Yeah. So, um, okay. So I'm gonna ask you guys this because I'm curious about this because I don't really know. I think I know a little bit of the answer, but I don't quite know. So I want to make sure I get it. So as content creators and just hyper creatives, entrepreneurs, and everything, we can often find ourselves working beyond our limits and ultimately burning out. What are some self-care techniques that you guys implement to make sure that your mental health is like squared away and taken care of for all the hustle and bustle of the everyday life?
Weed and naps.
Those are facts. Yeah, those are.
And maybe a beer or two here or there.
Yeah.
It's like you have to self-care more than anything. You have to take your rest. You have to sleep. When you're tired, you sleep. That's
Yeah.
all. And then get up. And then if you're not feeling like doing something artful that day, don't.
Mhm.
Switch up to something else.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good not to do nothing at all.
Yeah.
Sounds weird in our hustle civilization. You gotta have a timeout
Yeah.
completely. It's like a meditation day, except you're just not doing anything.
To let
You know
yourself
what I mean?
recharge.
And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you'll be in the mood to start tomorrow
Yeah.
with what you need to
I
do.
think with me, it's like I have to take a break, and I have a series of things that I love to do.
Yeah.
So if I get burnt out from writing, I'll go in the studio and make something. If
Yeah.
I'm in the studio and I have a whole bunch of campaigns that I have to design for or deadlines, I'll work on something totally random that is not attached to a contract or a
Yeah.
deadline or any kind of money, just simply because I feel like
Because you
making
want
it.
to. Yeah.
And that is the best self-care of just following your heart and your instinct of what you want to do.
Yeah.
And some days it's like sitting on the couch and binge watching Bridgerton, which was amazing.
Nice.
And I love taking a nap every day
Yeah.
and just doing paying attention to how we feel, and
Yeah.
You're being an
not
empty nester.
yeah, it also helps me.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna
These
say
are
that.
things like,
Yeah.
when we had you guys were in the house and we
Yeah.
were raising you, we couldn't take time for self-care. It was very
Yeah. That's what I was gonna
difficult.
ask is how
There's
you did it
so
as
much to
parents.
get done. So, self-care for me back then was like to take Sundays and work on what I wanted to work on, or
Yeah.
after you guys would go to bed, I would stay up and work on my books.
Yeah.
So it's just really paying attention to that burnout situation and working on something else
Yeah.
until you feel inspired again.
Oh, that's good. I like that. And then I know for a fact you guys have had a lot of wins during your like careers as musicians and artists and writers and everything like that. And you have a ton of accolades and awards that you've like accumulated from all this. But what is one L or a loss that you've like comes to mind that you were like, man, that was not my finest moment. I like dropped the ball. Something I did everything right, but still it went wrong. And now Eliana Murillo, which we all know and love, I interviewed her when she was my very first interview, and she said L's no longer stand for losses; they stand for lessons. So, what would you consider to be that biggest L in your life that like was the biggest lesson for you that made you become a better person, artist, creative, entrepreneur, whatever it might be?
Ooh, I've had a lot of them, a lot of lessons. I think that one of them was my first novel. I just, I was so proud that I finished it. I wrote it
Yeah,
during National Novel Writing Month. I'd been to a writers group, and I didn't actually structure it properly or
yeah,
do my research of it. And I had a book agent read it, and he called me, and I specifically had him speak loud because I thought I was showing off. It was my ego coming out.
yeah,
And I was at work when I worked at the paper, and he was like, "This is a mess." And he said, "This is did you have you read a book? Do you understand the concept of a character ending up different than how they started?
yeah,
Like, do you understand how a novel works?" Like, I was so humiliated, and I was pretending to take notes, and my tears were dripping on the notepad on the ink.
oh, yeah,
And I went, I hung up the phone, and I went to the women's bathroom 2 floors down where no one knew who I was,
yeah,
and I just bawled my eyes out. I was so disappointed in myself, the time I'd wasted, the sleep I had lost,
yeah,
and I gave up on it. And I thought this was too big of a dream for me.
yeah,
Like, I met my match, I tried, I failed, and a couple months later, I got hired to go to Miami to teach a Latina writers conference how to do a craft,
yeah,
make a craft. And I went and I listened to all the panels, I listened to write, and I realized what I did wrong.
yeah,
What this guy, instead of just listening, all I heard was, "You fail, you suck,
yeah,
this sucks, you did a bad job." I did not let myself hear, "Go learn, go
yeah.
research, go practice,
This
keep
could be
writing."
good if you go. Yeah,
Yes. And when I went to that conference, what the words he told me, I heard them with the intention that he meant them.
yeah,
And I came home, and remember, I knocked it out, and I ended up having a 2 book deal
yeah,
off of that book. So, but had I not had that big of a fail
yeah,
and recognized, I would not have gone on. I just had to have it, to have the experience of
yeah,
to know that, the power of turning it around
yeah,
to make it a win really helped me in my life along the way. And
yeah.
even
To
in
take that
college,
patience and that.
going
Yeah,
to night school at 36 years old,
yeah,
and I had trouble with math, and I had a math group who helped me along, and I graduated, I passed the math classes.
yeah,
So, just doing the things that you thought were impossible,
yeah.
they come into play a lot if you just don't give up.
Aw. And then Padre?
Well, mine's more like in the dark side of the whole thing. It, you know, I was playing in a band for since I was 21,
Yeah.
22, and then as time went on, you know, different guys would come through the band and leave and whatever, and then, but there came a time where that I was starting to like get depressed, like I
Yeah.
was starting to like not have too much self worth, and and some of the guys in the band were kind of like not not on your side and that kind of
Yeah.
feeling. And then so I started to drink at the gigs, you know,
Yeah.
just a little bit here and there, and then later on it became more and more and more, and
Yeah.
I
That
realized
slippery
I was
slope.
doing that to mask up how I was feeling, you know what I
Hmm.
mean, about like I was dreading doing the gigs because I didn't want to see these guys.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And it became a thing to where that I was numbing myself, you know, and so it
Yeah.
started to impact our performance. It started to impact everything, you know, and then we started getting the reputation of a party band and all that kind of stuff. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And reggae, I wanted to represent, you know, the spiritual
Like
side
good
of
vibes,
things. You know?
peace. Yeah.
So it all went like upside down, and then
Mm.
finally I just stopped everything, you know,
Mhm.
and I had to reevaluate myself
Yeah.
and get a hold of myself, and then. So now when we do the gigs, we don't do that before the gig or you know during the thing. You know what I'm saying? We kind of
Yeah.
like after the show, maybe we'll drink or party or whatever. But I had to separate the two, you know what I mean? And I had to give it its full value,
Yeah.
or else, because what was happening was I was making it worse and worse, and then my reputation was getting worse and worse,
Hmm.
and then you know nobody, no gigs, or you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
everything was going downhill. So I got rid of everybody who was making me feel that way,
Yeah.
and I put them back together with guys who don't drink
Yeah. Who
and
actually
who can
wanted to be
remember,
there.
you know,
Yeah.
and who love to and who want to be there,
Hmm.
you know, and they bugged me, hey, when we're gonna practice, when we're gonna do this, when we're gonna do, you
Yeah.
know, they're I don't have to chase them down, you know, and it makes me feel good, it was something I had to jump over. It was a hurdle, and it was a do or die kind of situation too, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because um, you know, it was like I would say a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To that, then you have all these women around you, and they're drunk too. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it wasn't good or
Yeah.
anything. You know what I mean? I find myself being gone all the time. You
Hmm.
know, and then only coming home with a little bit of money. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it started not to be worth it anymore.
Hmm.
You know, and then so I switched over and started doing art 100%,
Yeah.
and then I would only play just to satisfy my own soul. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
so now we're gonna kick it back up again. We're in the studio right now recording. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And it's sounding better than ever. You know what I mean? And it's like you think as you get older, it gets worse. It gets better. It's like
Yeah.
wine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now we're in a better place. We're in a happier place. You know,
Yeah.
we feel ourselves achieving. We're manifesting what we want. We're making sure the negativity's out of our lives.
Yeah.
You know, those people who bring that, we don't have time for them. You know what I mean?
I think it's also like getting an amazing opportunity, like maybe when you're younger and you like it goes really really well,
Yeah.
and then that's your new normal,
Yeah.
and then reality hits where everyone has their turn, going life is never always like this,
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
goes like this.
Hills and valleys.
And so when things start to go in the opposite direction, it's like just having that, being self-aware of
Yeah.
like taking yourself out of victim mode and saying, what can I do to change this?
Yeah.
How do I get back on the right track, of a track that's makes me feel good inside, and
Yeah.
recognizing where you didn't like what you did
Yeah.
and going on, and maybe, like in my case, it was being lazy about it, just like, oh, I'm going to write a book and I'm
Yeah.
going to sacrifice everything to get this done, and maybe not
First
having the
draft
best
done. Yeah.
motivation for it. Yeah. And yeah, to say, oh, I got this done, and then later, after you lose it all,
Hmm.
or almost you feel like you have lost it all, you have
It's a
nothing
humbling
to
moment.
lose,
Yeah.
and that gives you the freedom to start all over and try again.
Yeah.
So I think that it's, we're all imperfect,
Yeah.
and we all have, lessons to learn on
It's like a
things.
butterfly that gets reborn over and over again. You reinvent yourself,
Yeah.
but to get the better self, next self.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're in the cocoon. Like right now, everybody's in lockdown. We're all in our cocoons, right? And everything's set to zero. As
Yeah.
soon as it opens back up, now who's your new? But what kind of butterfly have you
Yeah. What
become?
have you? Yeah. Exactly.
You know,
Yeah, because a lot of social connections and everything like that have decayed because usually you see them in the office or you see them at like social events that you have to go to. And now that you don't have to do that, the only people you're in contact with are the people you actually want to see. And it's
I
very,
think this whole thing that happened this last year, it pushed a lot of people to evolve
yeah,
and find new ways to create and connect. And you, especially if you're entrepreneurs like we are and you
yeah,
work for yourself, we couldn't just sit back. Like, we just take on our lessons that we learned from the past and
yeah,
say, how do we make this a win? How do we get through this? And not just get through it, but how do we thrive?
exactly. Not just survive, but thrive. Yeah. So that's awesome. So you guys have mentioned manifesting like a few times now. Could you take a moment to explain what manifesting is for anyone who might not understand the term?
I look at it like I've never used I have done this my whole life, but I've never called it
Yeah,
manifesting.
giving it a term. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just the way I do, the way that I'm able to achieve goals is I picture the end results,
yeah,
and whatever my desired end result, like the book, for example, I just kept seeing myself at Barnes and Noble at the new and fiction table
yeah,
and saying, here's my book. And through all the trials and tribulations, all of the hard work, the rejection, the tears,
yeah,
the rewrites, I just kept seeing that end
yeah,
result. And when the morning when my book came out, I called Barnes and Noble at Metro Center
yeah.
here, and I'm like, "Can you put my book on the new fiction table? I'm going to be there to take a picture." And she's like, "Okay." And so I didn't even, I just threw on some clothes, no makeup, and
Yeah.
I took a picture of me holding up the book and the new and fiction table. I'm like, wow, it took 4 years to get here, but here we
I
are.
remember those moments, like, and it's funny because I was so oblivious to how normal people live their lives, how quote unquote normal families operate. Because
I
like,
remember you asking. I remember you coming home from school and saying, "So when are you and Daddy gonna get like a normal job?" And I'm like, "Oh,"
like
I'm
never
like,
be grateful
"Yeah."
for it.
I
Yeah,
said, "This is normal for us," and you're
yeah.
like, "Oh," like I could tell you're like, "What if my parents are weird?"
Because it was such a trip because everyone else was like, oh yeah, on the weekends we're gonna go to the lake or we're gonna go camping or we're gonna go to like a ski resort or whatever, and it's like we're gonna go to an art event and like hustle, and then I gotta help my dad with his gig, like to like load the equipment and stay over there and all that kind of stuff. But I appreciate it as an adult because you guys taught me like hard work and to hustle. And what happens if you actually like donate your time and energy to the thing? It will blossom one day, like and become something like
I
substantial.
think that, like, my favorite thing is how I was a mom blogger before it was a thing,
Yeah.
and I would
Oh,
write
I
this
know.
I
Yeah.
would blog all the time about what you guys did. And I am so happy I did that
Yeah.
because now I can go back
They're like
and
diary
read
entries.
those, and they were so vivid, and I would have forgot all of those stories.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite ones was you coming home from school. I think you were in seventh grade, and you go, "Oh my God, we learned how to use the computer today, and we all had to go and Google our name." And you go, and everyone Googled their name and nothing came up. In mine, there's all
Yep.
these. What are you writing about me? And I'm like, I didn't post pictures most of the
Yeah,
time. And
right? Oh my gosh. I remember those moments. They were like it was fun, it was memorable, it was unique, and that's what I appreciate it now. Back then it was like, oh, I'm different. I don't want to stand out. So like now I absolutely appreciate it.
oh,
So
and you gave me so much good content.
I
Oh
know.
my God. Finger snaps for D'Angelo. Those stories, I could not even, like, the time you shaved stripes in your hair.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
oh, like
funny
just
because like
everything.
as an adult, I carry that energy with me into all the situations I go into. So I'm a mix of both of you guys, where I like have like Padres Leo, like that pride and that strength, where like I'm gonna enter this room, I'm gonna knock this out of the park. I'm smart, capable, competent, all these sort of things. I can do this, and I have like Madre's like optimism and drive and hard work, where it's like I'm here to spread good vibes. I don't want anyone to be lower than me. I want to be able to come in here and like help everyone out, and like all that kind of stuff. And because of those two like worlds combined, every situation I walk into, everyone's like, "Who are you?" Like, "Oh my God, where have you been?" Like all of our lives. Yeah, so let's work with you. Like now that I'm definitely doubling down on myself and being like, I am worthy, I'm invalid, all that kind of stuff. Now, everything's going so well. One thing I want to tell you really quick, that's like not a part of the interview, is that last night I was actually part of a production that it was like a Valentine's Day production and everything, where I was one of the three dungeon masters highlighted. I was the last slot, meaning that it was like 10 p.m. to midnight. So I didn't expect many viewers or anything like that. No one knew me here except like one person. And I came into the room and I was like, "Hey everyone, my name is D'Angelo Murillo. I'm going to be your game master for this evening. I'm a horror writer, so I hope you enjoy this like thing." And I like knocked it out of the park. Everyone in that thing was like, "It is so good," and they're on the edge of their seat and be like, "Who is this guy?" Like, "Oh my God!" So I got a bunch of follows from it and a bunch of accolades, and it just like it showed me that like, oh my God, like thank you, Madre and Padre, for giving me this
You
like.
do it.
We tell
Or
each other every day, are those our kids? Those are our
I
kids.
know, 'cause
Yeah.
we're so proud of you guys. We're like, oh my God, those are our
Like they were
kids.
actually paying attention.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then okay, so
Can I
pivoting.
tell a funny D'Angelo
Go for it. Go for it.
story?
Of course, go for it. Yeah.
So when I was working at the newspaper, this was during when MySpace first came out. And remember, you told me Mommy, you
Oh
need
my
to tell
God.
them that the rep, because our entertainment guide was called the
Yeah.
rep that I worked on. You need to tell them they need a MySpace page because all these different magazines have MySpace pages. And so I mentioned it, and they're like, "No, it's just a fad."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Little do
"No,
they
I don't
know.
want to
Yeah.
do it." And I'm like, you know what? We really need to do. And I showed them the other magazines. And so my editor said, okay, let's pitch it to the high level features team. How about on Thursday, you give us a pitch on MySpace?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, yeah, I can totally do that. And
Oh
I told you,
God.
I'm going to use your MySpace page to show them what it's all about. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. So we get into the meeting.
And again, she worked at the Arizona Republic, so that's
Yeah.
the biggest news outlet for Arizona. Go on, go for it.
They put the screen up, and I give them this whole pitch on MySpace and how we need to get on there. And they're like, isn't it just like sex workers or young boys who befriend buxom women? I'm like, no, it's a way for people to connect with each other, and it's a way to get traffic to our website, to read our articles. I go, let me show you my son's account. Like he's into, games. He's into this. He's into that. And so he's connecting with other people around the world who have these same interests. So I pull up your site, and that week just happened to be the week that you friended all of these women in bikinis, and they were like almost naked. I was like, oh my God. And they're like, isn't this exactly what we told you?
Those are your friends.
Yeah.
I don't know when he added this. I swear to God, like the other day, he did not have these friends on here, and their meeting was shut down. And I came home, and I go, you need to delete all of those naked women off of your page. And you go, but they're my friends, Mommy. They're my friends. I go, they're not your friends.
This is a Ukrainian bikini model, and she wants to be
Oh
my
my
friend.
God.
She likes anime. Oh my
But
God.
you know what? I ended up being right, because later on they
She
realized.
told me the same thing about my website too.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, I am my father's son, so.
No, it was funny. It was good, and sometimes people still joke. Remember your infamous MySpace presentation? I'm
Oh
like,
we
good old D'Angelo.
we all have
D'Angelo content on my blog.
I know. So once again, my mom's like brand and like website is craftychica.com. So there's tons of articles about my sister and I and all the shenanigans that we went through throughout
Growing
life.
up, yes.
Yeah. So one of the things I actually do on my Twitch channel is that there are things called channel points. So the longer you watch a channel, you accumulate these points, you get to spend them on whatever. So one of the things I have on there is story time. So if someone does story time, I think of a D'Angelo moment that happened, and I like bring it up to like my chat. So I've told the Black History Month story, and then all these different other ones that I told, and then they were like, "Oh my god!" And so it's been like super good. So if you want to see more stuff, go ahead and check out that website because it's all about that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, just put D'Angelo in the search
yeah, the
engine.
search bar, and you'll see it.
Yeah.
So pivoting to the other end of the spectrum, let's talk about the W's or the wins that you guys have had in your like careers and everything. What would you say is your proudest moment as a creative? Now it could be either a big accomplishment where you got a full blown award and everything, because I know you guys have, or it can be something smaller in the beginning that you were so proud that you overcame that small like mount that small little hill, but that felt like a mountain. And it could be as a parent, as a creative, as a couple, whatever you'd like to.
I think for me, the biggest win is having this life
Yeah.
and raising two kids, non-traditional all the way, being the weirdos in all of our families. Not that they thought we were weird. I don't know if they, but just
Oh,
taking
they
a different
did. We'll talk
path,
about that in a moment.
taking
Yeah.
a different path and sticking with it, believing in ourselves and sticking with it and
Yeah.
believing in each other. Those
Uh,
are, to me, that is like the biggest win. And a small win, I feel like every day there's little victories.
yeah.
Every day there's little victories, but I think just a little victory is, when something doesn't go your way, how can you turn it into a win
Yeah.
anyways, for either yourself or someone else?
For me, I got to open up for every reggae artist that I adored.
Yeah.
I got to open up for each one. I'll be like,
Can you name them really quick? Go
like
to Flex.
Ziggy Marley, Burning Spear,
Yeah.
Steel Pulse. It goes on and on,
Yeah.
And but the other one was that when we started going to Mexico on these trips, I started to find that they were selling my art that was placed on different little items, little knickknacks that you
Yeah.
buy at all over Mexico.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Like they stole his art.
So
Yeah.
I was mad about it. But then after a while, I started saying, hey, you know what? I broke over. I was imitating Mexican art.
Mhm.
Now they're selling my art.
Imitating Chicano art. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like a part of Mexican art now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it just kind of like validated me, made me feel validated. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And even though,
I'm good enough to steal from. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fine. It
Yeah.
felt like a breakthrough, on my part. So the
Yeah.
music and the art together. Besides what she said about raising you guys and having our lifestyle.
Yeah.
Back to the manifestation thing like that. We put our wish in, we put our order in.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
a wish is kind of like a passive thing. The order is a for sure thing.
Yeah.
You put the order in and you be specific
Yeah.
and you have faith that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You just don't think about it anymore. You just know it's going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like an example, like I think a win that I'm really proud of that changed our whole lives
Yeah.
was being a news. I worked in the tear sheet room at the newspaper,
Yeah.
and that was after our 10,000 flower pot order. And I saw, it was always my dream to be a features reporter at the Arizona Republic, but
Yeah.
I didn't have my college degree. I had an associate's degree.
Yeah.
And I was there in the tear sheet room, and I saw they had an opening for a features clerk
Yeah.
in the features department. And I thought, I know I can't be a reporter, but man, I would love to organize their movie files. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just, what does it take to organize movie files? And I thought, I know all about entertainment. So even though the description for the job said journalism degree required, or that you're going to J school, I just ignored that, and I went ahead
Applied
and applied
anyways. Yeah.
And I got an interview, and I not pretended, but I just acted as though I was
The
qualified. And I
confidence.
felt I was
Yeah.
qualified because through
And
experience.
you end up being qualified. Yeah.
Well, she told me she couldn't hire me
Yeah.
because I didn't have the journalism degree. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. I understand. Like it said on the thing, and it was
Yeah.
my decision to ignore that and try anyways. And I went back to the tear sheet room. 2 days later, she called me and she said, I just have a feeling about you. I want to hire you for this job.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to night school. They sent me to night school to get my bachelor's. And so the takeaway is that it's okay. You got to know the rules,
Yeah.
but it's okay to break them.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going the same
And there's no
way.
harm. It's
Be
just a, yeah.
creative and say, let me try something different.
Yeah.
Like I love that saying, if you try it, you have a 50-50 chance. If you don't try it, you have
Zero
zero chance.
exactly. Yeah.
And so I didn't realize I was doing it at the time, but I just was fearless about it.
Yeah.
And I thought, what have I got to lose? All they can say is no. And now in big situations that I go after, I say, what's the worst that can happen? They say no, or,
Yeah.
how do I back out of this situation? Okay, I'll have to pay this much money. Okay, like you set that goal and you just think like, what's the worst that can happen? You know?
Yeah.
Any job she's had, she's created her own
Like little
position.
department. Yeah.
Like when I was working at the courts, she had her own office.
Yeah.
And at 21, her own office at the courts.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? And then we were working at Duck and Decanter making sandwiches.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, she's party coordinator. I'm still throwing the garbage. You know what I'm saying?
So it's really about just like saying, hey,
Yeah.
let me get in on this. Let me try this.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I owe the most to you guys, because both of you guys, it's like critical thinking skills, like to its core. It's like with Padre, there'd be situations where it's like there's signs everywhere that's like, you can't park here, you can't park here. He's like, fuck that shit, we're gonna park here and unload because it'll be like much more efficient. It's gonna be super good.
Yeah.
Like, let's just do it, And then same with art events and everything. Like, let's go ahead and get all this taken care of. And then same with you for like, I understand the rules and the procedures, I respect that, but here's your goal and here's how I can help you that bypasses like some of these procedures. So what can we make this happen? Because like those two things, like trained, I'm sure Maya as well.
Yeah.
And I to not think like in a box, but to be like, what's the end goal? Let's figure out a way to get there from all these different angles that might not, and in some situations people can find it jarring where it's like, you need to respect our process. And other people are like, I love this.
No.
Yeah.
Sometimes I remember being at Phoenix Comic Con and I was a speaker and I was late.
Yeah.
And I took the wrong door and there was the door to get in the back way and I had my ticket.
Yeah.
And the girl sitting there who was like, she weighed like 15 pounds and here's me. She's like, nope. And I'm like, I just walked I'd have to walk around the whole and I'm like, well, I'm a speaker nope. And I'm like, okay, I tried everything.
Shark
and
Tank.
I'm gonna have to walk. I gotta go. But sometimes the answer is no.
Exactly.
Literally,
But it's at least you tried. Yeah. At least you like.
The poor little girl was going, I have one job.
Yeah,
Yes.
Exactly. I can't lose this.
I have one job.
No one comes in. No, but check it out. You know that she just got a car, right?
Yeah.
Well, the manifestation she did to make it was incredible because it was only a month or two away or
8
so.
weeks. 8 weeks.
8 weeks. And then she goes, by the time I have my birthday, I'm going to get this car and pay it in cash.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Brand new
2021.
Yeah.
Car, right? And so she put together some classes and then we sat there and filled the boxes, did all kinds of stuff for a week.
Yeah.
She
have your end goal and build your strategy to get there.
Yeah, that's one thing that same with me for like this year in 2021. I really started to buy into like the manifesting and all that kind of stuff, to be like, all right, come on, we got to get this. So like my goals was to become a paid dungeon master, by this year, like just this year. And then to have a couple brands want to work with me, like genuinely want to be like, we love you, we want to work with you. And sure enough, have happened. Right now in chat are filled with people that like are from a thing called Fable 42, which is a tabletop RPG network I'm working with, and they're all like super supportive and super kind, and they're like, "We love you please join our show," and all that kind of stuff. So, hey, like I believe in it. I totally believe in it now. So it's like amazing. So I just love it so much. All
Gotta
right.
be specific.
Yes, be
Yes,
specific.
Otherwise,
exactly.
otherwise you're gonna get something funky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know. It's yeah, because like, oh man, oh my gosh. Okay,
We
so
always joke that there's in the universe corporate, there's a department called the unclears, like people who are not clear with their
yeah,
messages of what they want. They're like, oh, let's take a guess and give them this, and it's the unclears.
exactly. Yeah. So it's all wild to think of all that. Okay, so I know you guys have to go soon, so I'll kind of like wrap this up a little bit. So a couple other questions. One, you guys is what I consider to be an ideal power couple, where you are both hyper creatives, you're strong in your personalities, you have all these passionate ideas that are unique to yourselves. How did you make it work? What kind of it like advice do you have for people who are in relationships where people have these two distinct passions and want to pursue it at the same time? Like, what do you feel like made it work for you guys' relationship?
You let the other person be who they are.
Mhm.
You support them and back them up and do everything you can to make their thing happen.
Yeah.
And they'll do the same in turn for
Mhm.
you. And you don't give them shit when it had this gig time
Yeah.
or like for a while, her and Maya were flying all over the country for these conventions.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'd be gone for weeks at a time. You know what I mean?
Days at a time, lots
It would
of
be
days.
it would be like a week, a
Yeah.
complete week, you know, and then I'd be like, I could get mad. I could feel like left out. I
Yeah.
could feel like whatever, but I didn't. You know, I switched it into like when she called, I'd be happy. I
Yeah.
wouldn't give her guilt shit. I wouldn't make her feel bad.
Yeah.
You know, because but all I just
Being
demanded was she
supportive.
come home with that money. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Because it'd be like me going to the gigs on a road
Yeah.
trip, and I don't bring back money, but I had a
Then-
great
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So what you do is you just lift each other up and become each other's pedestal.
Respect each other's
Yeah.
Listen to each other.
profession and career.
Don't go to bed mad.
Yeah. That's a big
Brainstorm
one.
with each other
Yeah.
constantly.
Lots of
Brainstorm.
cuddles.
A lot of cuddles.
Chocolate,
Gummies.
food. Yeah.
Gummies help.
And then, Madra, do you have anything to add?
Having
Yeah. Go.
good communication.
Yeah.
And respecting each other. You know, you just that's the main thing. Friendship, respect each other. It goes a long way.
Yeah, that's what I love about you guys is that you guys are like actually friends, like best friends, to the point where you guys joke with each other, play pranks on each other, do all these sort of little like cutesy things, and then when it comes to communication, you guys are really good at it. So when like I've seen the highs and the lows of everything, so like when things were like really bad and there was friction, there was no hiding it or passive aggression. It was like raised voices and like getting it sorted out, and then just to be able to get through it. And then the smooth, the my favorite that I've learned from Padre is that it goes like, your mother's really mad right now, you're gonna clean the kitchen, you're gonna do this, and then I'm gonna go get flowers and get food, and then we're gonna make this happen. And then sure enough, we all come together, and then like
And the
happy,
house is all clean. I'm like, "Ooh, okay."
yeah, there's a happy household. And I'm like, I gotta write that down. So like it works. So it's
Wants to live their life mad all the time.
yeah.
So it was like, let's get it out of the way, figure out what's wrong, and
Sometimes I had to like say sorry even when I knew I wasn't wrong. You know what I mean?
what?
And then let it cool down,
Yeah.
right? And then the next day or so, I go, remember that thing? Like, and then I would, since we were both calm and we already had made up,
Or
then
clear
I would
communication.
explain it. I would
Yeah.
explain
Yeah,
myself.
and
If
that's-
you do it during that time, it's taken wrong every
Deaf
time.
ears, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I love that because it's like swallowing your pride for the ultimate goal of making this relationship work, and like because it helped tremendously. Because me and Maya, we knew that every time you guys fought, it was going to be okay because you guys knew you trusted each other. We trusted in you guys to like make it work, and then we were always on our team, and we just knew that you guys would make it work. So it was good. So
You anticipate each other's needs too. you
yeah,
know,
be proactive
like-
instead of reactive. Yeah.
Like I noticed that she wouldn't eat breakfast. She'd go straight to work.
Yeah.
I was like, and then she'd be hangry, right?
Yeah.
So I just said, I just took it upon myself to be the chef and just
Yeah.
said, I'm making her food to get her on her way for this morning so that
Yeah.
she does her thing good. You know what I mean? Like that. And then so you anticipate, then I go and do my thing.
Yeah.
So, and so you drop your pride and you serve.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And serving makes you a better person. And it
He
just,
has it like a hotel. He puts a little dish on top of it to keep it
Oh, I've
warm.
seen it. Yeah, it's good stuff. I aspire to get to that level, like because it's like super good. And then okay, so a question everyone wants to know is what? How did you guys get together? What is your guys' romance story like? The moment that you guys became more than friends and you guys knew that you guys were meant to be together. And
I was thinking about this last night. It took 5 years of friendship
yeah,
before we finally like got together. Like first we dated for 3 months. We were both working at the traffic court,
yeah,
and I was like practically engaged to this other guy
yeah,
that I had been engaged to for like 4 years, and I thought he was the one.
yeah.
And when I met Daddy, I felt something different in
It's
me.
fireworks. Yeah,
And I was like, oh my gosh. And I still stayed with this other guy because I thought, okay, he's the one like I've spent all this time
yeah,
with. But eventually I couldn't deny that, wow, this is the feeling I feel with this guy, whether if I end up with this guy or not, I
yeah,
want more of this feeling.
yeah,
And I ended up breaking up with that boyfriend.
yeah,
It launched me into a whole new world. And then we
we
dated.
were both dating.
He was dating
I was
someone
dating somebody else.
too.
yeah,
We were
Yeah.
playing footsie with each other at the dinners that
yeah,
the city court dinners and stuff like that. And then that guy ended up writing a song about me
yeah.
called "The Other Guy."
It's a cool song too.
It's on a little 45 record.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah, and then we dated for 3 months. It did not work out.
Yeah,
And then I was heartbroken and I went to Europe for a month.
yeah,
And then I came back and we reconnected as friends. And then we just built a friendship.
yeah,
Like I always like to say, like true love is a friendship set on
yeah,
fire. You start as friends, it can be awkward, you have funny stories to tell. Maybe it's not the right time for either
yeah,
one of you, but you just if you feel that connection with someone, you keep that connection and keep in touch with them.
yeah,
And that's kind of what we did. And then when we finally did get together, it was everything we had been waiting for. It was
yeah.
worth it. It was worth it. But I know it took a long time. It felt like it took a lifetime, but now it's 30 years. So that's, you know,
It worked. Yeah, it's good.
yeah.
That's one thing I love about you guys is that you guys I think taught Maya and I to look for that friendship in a relationship. Like it's just not like you meet someone, you go into a relationship and that's it. It's actually you have to really get to know someone and see if you actually genuinely like them as a human being and just be friends with them. And then if it gets more than that, then but it has to feel right. That instinct, that passion has to be there. Otherwise, it just
This is
doesn't
my
work out.
rule. This is the rule. When you're with somebody and you close your eyes, if she feels like home,
Yeah,
that's how you know she's the right one. If you close your eyes and you know she's got your back,
yeah,
you know what I mean, and it's not all about sex, you know what I mean.
yeah,
It's not all about. It's more about a spiritual
Or
connection,
show, or
yeah,
yeah.
a soulmate kind of thingy. You know what I mean. You recognize your soulmate, and like when I was working at the courts with her, I I started to like drop. I was Mr. Gigolo, partying, girls, and all
yeah,
that kind of stuff. So I started to like get away from that and started to like read more of the Bible and that kind of stuff. And I
yeah,
got into Rastafari through another
yeah,
friend. And then I told her, I go, I'm out of here. I'm leaving the courts.
yeah,
I went to Jamaica and went to the Sunsplash concert and came back, started a band, and I told everybody I'm leaving, and so I quit.
yeah,
And then a little bit later, she quit.
Yeah.
And then another friend of mine quit. So I realized I was an influencer.
And I knew the change in him because when he was going through that phase with all girlfriends and stuff, I wanted nothing to do with him. We were
yeah,
friends, but I was like,
It was yucky to her.
I am
yeah,
not that. I will be your friend. I love you as a friend, but That's all.
Yeah.
And then later when I saw the
The
change in
growth.
him,
Yeah.
then I was like, oh, so it takes time. Everything
Yeah.
takes time. But the way we're connected, I really quick, I had to do this thing in, I forgot where it was. We had to like hike this mountain. I was with on a blogger retreat,
Yeah.
and there was no cell reception.
Is this the one where you
And
guys had to go hiking and rafting and all that kind of stuff?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. And I was like exhausted, and I felt like I wanted to start crying, and I felt we had all went on our own path,
Yeah.
and I just needed to talk to him. And they told me there's no cell reception here. And I same thing. I'm like, I'm just gonna try anyways. What's the worst that can happen? He
Yeah.
doesn't get the message. And I texted him, I miss you, I love you.
Yeah.
And it felt good just knowing I sent it to him, and
Yeah.
maybe later he would get it. Immediately he comes, sends me an emoji of the boy and girl holding hands. And I just started bawling. I'm like on the mountain, I got his tag, we have reception. They're like, but yeah, that's how connected we are.
Yeah. That's
So
amazing.
You become psychic almost.
Yeah.
With each
Yeah. You just I've seen you guys on the same wavelength. Like it's magical. It's crazy. Oh my god. And then okay, there we go. And then perfect. So what advice would you give to anyone who is a creative that is looking to turn their hobby into an actual passion, or sorry, turn their hobby into an actual business and go into it full blown with, just I want this to be my life. What advice do you wish that you gave yourself when you were younger? It'd be like, Kathy, Patrick, this is something that'll make your journey easier.
I think number one, have a specific end goal in mind.
Yeah.
And start right now. Even if you think you have to take classes or you're not ready, just start.
Yeah.
You can still take classes, do all of that, save your money if you need to buy this or that. Just start now, a little bit every day. It will add up to help you. But have that end goal in mind of what you want to do. Don't wait for someone to tell you that you are something.
Yeah.
Just be that.
Yeah.
Be what you want to be, and step into it and own it and love it and enjoy it and learn.
And surround yourself
that.
with people who are better than you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
It's people who are smarter and successful. Because if you're hanging around with a bunch of losers, that says everything about you.
Yeah, like that.
You're gonna be at that level.
You're the smartest one in the room. You're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
So always strive to learn.
Like I didn't wait for a
Open your
degree
mind.
to play music.
Yeah.
I didn't wait for them to tell me, "Oh, now you're a musician." The hell with you. I was born a musician.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't need an art degree to tell me it's okay to start doing art now.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of fine art is bullshit. See, because they make everybody else feel like they're less.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to wipe out all that kind of stuff. And if it's in your heart and soul, you're gonna do it on a napkin if you have
Just
to.
create.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You
You're
can't
gonna-
help but want to do it. Yeah.
Don't stop creating.
Yeah,
Don't wait. Just do it. Let go of the labels, expectations, all of that.
do something that makes you money too,
Yeah.
but not make it all about money.
Yeah.
Do it what you love, and that's gonna be the thing that you're gonna love it the most. You know what I mean? Oh, that painting, I did it because I loved it.
Yeah.
Or as opposed, I painted that because I was gonna get paid.
And then the opportunities will come, like because you're going to be in your best self, creating from the heart and being productive, being consistent. The opportunities will come.
Yeah, and don't compare yourself to others either.
Yeah.
Only if you want to learn from them, but don't look up somebody's website and start getting depressed.
Yeah. Don't drown yourself in.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's because we all can throw ourselves into that situation.
This is fun because it's like the parent lectures that we always did.
It is, yeah. It really.
You're listening.
Yeah, exactly. Except I'm not like a Game Boy being like,
I
whatever.
remember you giving me, Mom, I need you to sign my English paper. And then you go, just sign it. You don't need to read. Well, let me read. I think you could start with the stronger opening sentence. And you're like, and
Now,
then you come back, I'm so glad you had me doing
yes.
your
The annoying thing is that I knew that everything I did, like every situation I was into, if I brought it to you guys would be like, okay, here's what you do. And I'm like, no, I just want to do it. But then every time I took your advice, it was always better. Like it was smooth as butter, magical, and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, damn it, they're always right. So it's like now as an adult, I like appreciate that. I just like you guys' wisdom is like sage, so it's so good. And yeah, okay. So 2 more things. One, where can we find you guys online?
Mine is at Crafty Chica on my website, on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube,
Yeah.
Twitter.
Perfect.
I don't really have too much. I just have my Instagram and Facebook.
And it's
You know what I mean?
fantastic.
Fantastic artist.
Fantastic
right.
artist.
Perfect. Yeah.
Or Patrick
Yeah.
Rodrigo.
Can we find your music on Spotify?
You can find one song on
Yeah.
Spotify, but I have some songs on the Facebook thingy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Reverb Nation.
Oh, right on. Okay, perfect. And then do this.
In the store who heard your song on Spotify.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, "Does he have more songs?" I go, "Coming up, coming."
Yeah, we're gonna have to take that to 2021. Yeah, I'll definitely come over and help out with that because it's easy. It's super easy, so I'll help out. And then yeah, because I see the Blackout CDs, so I want to make sure to get those like on as well and everything. So, but yeah, okay. So second part of the interview. This is gonna be really awkward because I was taught from you guys to do this to other people. So now I'm gonna do this to you guys. So Patrick and Kathy Murillo, Crafty Chica and Ross Patrick, Mommy and Daddy. I love you guys with all my heart and soul. I want to take a moment to tell you that I am so grateful that I got to be blessed to be your son and to be in your lives and to see you guys thrive and grow through the best times and the worst of times. I had a wonderful life because you guys were there to be so supportive, even when I didn't want the support or was rejecting it or whatever, or in a bad mindset or whatever. You still were there for me to encourage me in all the things I loved. When you didn't understand anime or World of Warcraft or any of these things, you still were like, we'll still support you. We'll get you like manga or like yaoi at the time, which is the gay manga that you didn't know about, but it's like okay. Side story: she wanted to support me in my love for anime and manga, so she went to New York and found a actual like manga, and she gave it to me. Little did she know it was yaoi, which is boy love, which is like because I was like reading, I was like, these guys are more than friends; they're kissing. And then, very progressive.
I tried.
Very progressive mother. I love it. So it's like super, super good. But anyways, I just want to take a moment to say that you guys are valid and wonderful and amazing. And when for a real moment, all while growing up, my sister and I would be surrounded by family members that would just talk about like our household and be like, they're gonna ruin those kids. Like how dare they pursue their passions instead of getting a 9 to 5? Like, oh my god, I can't believe what they're doing. Da 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 da. And all the time we were like, are we a broken household? Like, are we what? But growing up, we see that you guys are so just like strong-willed and so like that had to been hard to weather from all angles about that stuff. And now as adults we're like, oh, that's how I'm going to raise my household. Like I want to have a house filled of love and passion and like supportiveness and like not going to corporate America and giving your life away, but to throw it all in for what you love. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being in my life, for being supportive. And
we're so proud of you. Like ever since you were just a little tiny baby, you had so much light in you to shine out, and just every picture was so charismatic, and you just carried that all through your childhood into adulthood. So we're really proud of you, and we're just so happy that we didn't mess up.
It's exciting to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah, both you and Maya, both of you just glow. Like you just have this glow light walking around you. Like your auras and vibes are so strong. And what makes me so proud is that both of you shine so much positivity and light and upfulness. And you're not just existing, going through the motions. You guys are shaking things
present
up,
and, yeah,
make a mark in the world to create legacies.
Yeah,
and you're inspiring people too.
You're inspiring people. You're carrying on to the.
Thank you.
So we're just so proud of you guys. So keep it going.
Oh, I love you guys. Okay, we are now at the end of the interview, and I want to say thank you again for being here on Valentine's Day to show everyone, the good people, what it is to be a thriving couple that are like power couple and everything. And yeah, make sure to follow them. They are amazing and wonderful in every single way. And I love all of you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Love
Bye
you.